the way you hold on my dreams. They can't take that away from me. We may never meet again on the paper road to love. Still I'll always keep the memory of the way you was your night, the way we danced till 3, the way that you have changed my life. They can't take that away from me. No, they can't take that away. They can't take that away. They cannot take that away from me. But I did it. But I did it. Don't you know they can't take that away? Can't take that away. Oh no, from me. But it's a don't you know they can't take that away? Can't take that away. Oh no, from me. But I did it. You know they can't take that away from me. So this next song, actually there's kind of an interesting story that goes, I haven't told this story in a long time. I guess tonight is the night, isn't it? Are we doing 2 shows tonight? We're just doing this, right? Okay, so I can tell you this story. You know, the other day, before I went to the Philippines, the night before I went to the Philippines, I did a concert in one of my favorite venues in the world. It's a place called Tanglewood. And I did my Ella show with the Boston Pops. And I have quite a bit of patter in between the songs, as you will notice we're doing tonight. And the conductor said, well, the show is called my manager and said, I just wanted to give you a heads up that, you know, it's a 45-minute show, which means we're going to have to cut stuff. My manager says, you don't understand, Patti is the Bruce Springsteen of jazz, and that won't work for her. I've gotten that reputation for doing, you know, 10-hour marathon shows. But anyway, I'm gonna give you this story because it's really kind of silly and fun. So this next song that we're going to do, I recorded with James Ingram, and again falls into this category of having amazing songwriters write stuff just for me to do. And so this song was written for a movie called Best Friends. And it starred Burt Reynolds and Goldie Hawn. And it was the brainchild of the head of whatever the picture company was, I think it was Paramount, that they would do this movie together because they had done marketing research and found out that they were the top box office stars in the world, literally in the world at that point in time. So they came up with this project for them. And they had me come in to sing this song that was going to be in the body of the film, and I sang the song and they loved it and they put it in the body of the film, but then they decided that they needed to do the song again at the end of the film as a duet, and hence it became a duet with James and I. So the movie came out and died, a horrible death. The critics hated it. They just hated it. It was hard. It was a horrible thing for both their careers, actually. But the good news was that the song got nominated for an Oscar. Now, that meant that unlike sometimes at the Oscars, you know, didn't we have the year of Beyonce at the Oscars one year where she sang all of the nominated songs by herself? Remember that year? And she kept changing her hair and her makeup and her clothes. She'd come out and she'd do like a whole other song. So, but in those days, whoever sang the song in the movie sang the song at the Oscars. So here we are. We're going to perform on the Academy Awards. First time. And this was not only a first time for me performing on the Oscars, this was a first time for James performing on television. Okay? So I want you to keep that little tidbit in the back of your mind as this story progresses. So, now at this point, I started in the business professionally when I was 4. So I've done a lot of TV, and I'm prepared for all things. James looks like a deer in the headlights through this entire time. He's like this for the whole thing. So the first day we have a rehearsal, and we see where all these other musical numbers are going. They're just so elaborate and so extravagant. It's incredible. But there's this weird, I don't know what this was. It was like a Joan Crawford movie. She made a movie about a circus where everybody died. This is what the rehearsals were like, okay? So, first day of rehearsal, one of the numbers that was nominated that actually ended up winning that year, that really pissed us off because we were beaten by a freaking crustacean, was, the song was Under the Sea from The Littlest Mermaid. And hence we were beaten by a freaking crustacean. So they did this elaborate set where it looked like it was literally under the sea. You know, they had like the seaweed waving, and the dancers were all on rigs, and they were being swung through the air, and it looked like they were underwater. And under the sea, under the sea, and they're just swinging. Okay, so they're doing the number, and all of a sudden, one of the dancers, rig breaks, she hits the floor. Ambulance pulls up. They put her in the back. She's down for the count for, like, they said, you know, she's not going to dance for a couple of months. Okay, so she's gone. James looks at me like, I'm like, hey, showbiz, what can I say? So this was day 1. And we hadn't had a chance to rehearse our number yet. So now, day 2 of rehearsal, the stage was built so that it was like a half moon, and then there was like the back of the stage, and then there was a circle in front of that. So, and all of that went up and down in different levels, different ways, okay? So the band goes on a break, and one of the guys in the band does not know that they have lowered the front part of the stage. And he's backing up while he's talking to one of the guys in the horn section. Hey man, don't worry about, yeah, okay, so I'll hook up with you. James' eyes are even wider. Okay, so now, finally, next day, it is our day. Our day will come. Okay, so they have decided to put us on a precipice, a cliff, that's shaped like a triangle, and we have to stand at the apex of the triangle, cantilevered 30 feet over the audience, and sing this frickin' song. So we get through the rehearsal, everything's fine. We actually survive. We don't think we will because we're the only black people on the show that year. We're figuring this could be it. Everybody else is half dead. What are they going to do to our black ass? So James's eyes got a little bit smaller. We survived. Everything's cool. Okay. Night of the show. This is the next night, is the actual performance. Now, just before we go on, there's a number that we did not see in rehearsal. They had decided to do this number for some reason, like it was the South, and it was a beautiful antebellum style columns on the stage like a gigantic house. And all of the women were dressed in big, big, big hoop skirts. And the men were dressed in uniforms, and they had their swords down the sides. And they were waltzing across the stage. And out comes Joe Cocker. Jennifer Warren. Love lift us up where we belong. And they're dancing, and the skirts are just, and the guys' swords were going up under the hoops, and the hoops were, it was wild. So now, we've finally seen Joe's number, we've seen the whole thing, and it's time for us to go up and do our number. And just before we get ready to walk out and they place us on the stage manager says to James, "Well, James, this is it, my man. Only 2 billion people watching." So not good. So not good. We get up on the triangle. And of course, in those days, they've kind of, this has stopped a little bit, but in those days it was all about the bosom, exposing as much as possible. And so I was, you know, I'm a player. I was serving. The girls were there. And we got up on the stage, and James went into a panic. And he grabbed the back of my dress, which started out a quarter of an inch above the nipples. By the end of the song, it was a turtleneck. That's the story, and this was the song. We True story. How do you keep the music playing? How do you make it last? How do you keep the song from fading too fast? How can you lose yourself to someone and never lose your way? How do you not run out of new things to say? And since we know we're always changing, how can it be the same? And tell me how, year after year, you're sure your heart will fall apart each time you hear his name. I know the way I feel for you. It's now or never. The more I love, the more that I'm afraid that in your eyes I may not see forever. Can be the best of lovers, yet be the best of friends. If we can try with every day to make it better as it grows, with any luck, then I suppose the music never ends. I know the way I
best of friends.